Thank you very much for listening to this week's talk on the Sedra of Miketz, Shabbos Chanukah, and it's also going to be the Shabbos of Mevorachin Chodesh, where we say a special prayer for the coming month of Teves, which is going to be the following Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. And we are dedicating this learning and all the prayers for the time of Chanuka, the time of light, and the coming month of Teves, that we should merit to see the light of the release of all of the hostages in Gaza and the safety and success of all of the soldiers in the IDF. And as we are looking at the continuing saga of Yosef Hatzadik, at the end of last week's Sedra, he's languishing in prison. He's interpreted the dreams of the butler and baker, and his interpretations came true. The baker is hanged as Yosef interpreted and predicted. The butler is set free, and he pleads with the butler to remember him and to in case somebody could use his talents as a dream interpreter, just to and the injustice of his incarceration, and that somehow he should be able to come out of prison, out of this terribly unjust situation, and how these sentiments resonate with what our people are going through at the moment, and how we get encouragement from the story of Yosef and the miracles that happened, and the meteoric rise and change from the prison at the end of last week's Sedra to the beginning of this week's Sedra, where Paro has dreams and needs somebody who is going to interpret them in a way that Paro knows is a true interpretation. And this is the moment that the butler wakes up, as it were, comes out of his by accident, on purpose, forgetfulness, and mentions Yosef to Pharaoh. And from this point onwards, Yosef is catapulted to literally the highest position, practically speaking, in the land, because although Pharaoh says, after Yosef interprets the dreams, he says, I am senior to you, but effectively he is recognizing the great wisdom of Yosef, and he is saying, really, you are going to be making all the decisions. So this is the incredible story of Yosef. And when we read the Sedra of Miketz over Shabbos Chanukah, there are certain aspects that converge, that we will absorb because of the way the calendar is working out. And the first thing that we can look at is the fact that Yosef Hatzadik becomes the technically second in command in Egypt, and how miraculous, how against all of the odds, all of the cultural nuances, and not light insinuations in terms of how the Hebrews were reviled as a race by the Egyptians. The Egyptians would not eat together with the Hebrews because the Egyptians worshipped the sheep, and the Hebrews did not worship the sheep. They ate the meat of the sheep, and so the practice, the cultural protocol was so far away from any position of power, any position of mixing with the Jewish, with the Hebrew people, and with the Egyptians. And so when we think about that, the fact that Yosef Hatzadik is the one who is in this position of incredible power, and Ramban Nachmanides comments on this. The Hebrews were a hated sect in the eyes of the Mitzrim. They would not eat anything touched by them, nor would they associate themselves with them, considering them unclean. And in an essay by Rav Roberts, Zichrono Livracha, he talks about the first of the Ani Ma'amins that we say, the 13 principles of faith of the Ramban, to give us this this idea, this concept that whatever we're doing and thinking in our lives in this world, we are not in control. The first of the 13 principles of faith start as follows: Ani ma'amin be'emunah shalema. I believe with perfect faith. Shehabere yisborach shemo hu bore umanhig l'chol habroim. That the Creator, blessed be His name, He is the Creator and the driver. He is in control. L'chol habroim, for all the creations. V'hu levado asa v'ose v'yaseh l'chol hamasim. And He alone has done, is doing, and will do all of the actions, all of the things that come to pass. And we have in the events at the beginning of our Sedra a perfect example of this, that it is against all of the odds. It is against all of the human predictions and possibilities, whether it is the Egyptians themselves, whether it is the Hebrews who perhaps could never conceive that such a reality would come to pass. And we see a bit later on in the Sedra, and this links up with the beautiful message that connects the Sedra of Miketz with Shabbos Chanukah that I heard from Rabbi Mervis. And this happens in chapter 43, when the brothers return with Benjamin, because Yosef has engineered it so that they will bring back their youngest brother, the sole, as far as Yaakov is aware, the sole surviving child of his marriage with Rachel. And he does not want to let Binyamin go. And the brothers say, the viceroy of Egypt has told us we cannot come back to buy food unless we have Binyamin with us. And they manage to persuade Yaakov, they bring Binyamin back. And the charade, as it were, continues. Yosef has not yet revealed himself, his true identity, to his brothers. He knows who they are. They don't know who he is. And as he sees Binyamin, and then they sit down and they eat. And we have the verses here. So this is chapter 43, verse 32. Vayasimu lo levado velohem levadom. And this is explaining the seating arrangements that he organizes. They set for him separately and for them separately. V'lamitzrim ha'ochlim ito, and the Egyptians who ate with him, levadom, separately. Kilo yuchlun hamitzrian lechol es ha'ivron, because the Egyptians could not eat food with the Hebrews. Ki so'evo hi lemitzrayim, because it's an abomination to the Egyptians. And so really this is the Torah telling us the kind of mindset and practical arrangements that were part of this part of the world. And then he carries on, HaBachar Kivchoroso, the Bachar according to his firstborn, Vahatzair, and the youngest Katsairoso according to his age, Vayismu Ha'anashim Ish El Re'ehu, and the people, they were all looking at each other in absolute wonderment. So the brothers have now been given a seating plan where an apparent stranger has perfectly ordered that so that everybody is in age order, something that really only a member of the immediate family would be able to do. And then we continue, verse 34, Vayisa masos me'es ponov alehem, and he had portions brought to them from where from what was laid out before him. Vaterev masos Binyamin mimasos kulam, and Binyamin's portion was kulam chomesh yodos, and Binyamin's portion was 5 times as large as any of their portions. And so we'll stop there. So what we have is that not only are they sitting in perfect order according to their birth, but also Binyamin gets 5 times the portion size of the rest of the brothers. And if we can cast our minds back to remember that perhaps a contributing factor to the terrible animosity between the brothers and Yosef came from showing preferential treatment to one brother. And here we have perhaps Yosef setting up, on the one hand, this scenario where Binyamin is giving preferential treatment. So red flag, warning sign, why is this happening again? And so on the face of it, in the words of the events of the Torah that's recorded in Miketz, that Binyamin is getting 5 times. But this way it's expressed in the Torah is quite unusual. It says chamesh yodos, and that's not normally used to describe a quantity or a measure. That's a yad is a hand, but and you could say, we have a concept of hand breadth and arm, so we do measure according to the parts of the body, but it's unusual to find chamesh yados. So an incredible connecting explanation has been given to this concept of chamesh yodos, 5 hands. And if we look in the Al Hanissim prayer that we add over the festival of Chanuka, which begins tonight, Wednesday night, and we say in the section Bimei Matisyahu, which talks about what has happened, and we celebrate the fact that there was an incredible victory over the forces of Hellenism, and we see the section mentioned specifically, Mosarta Giborim Biyad Chaloshim, you delivered strong into the hands of the weak, Varabim Biyad Ma'atim, the many into the hands of the few, Utmeim Biyad Taharim, and the impure into the hands of the pure, or Rishoim Biyad Sadikim, and the wicked into the hands of the righteous, Vizadim Biyad Oske Sorasecha, and the non-believers into the hands of those who are busy with your Torah. And we are giving thanks to Hashem with these 5 yads. We say biyad 5 times in the Al Hanissim prayer. And this is perhaps alluded to from the Torah above time that mentions these 5 yads that were given to Binyamin. We have the Beis Hamikdash in the portion, the temple is in the portion of Binyamin. 5 yads were given to Binyamin in our Sedra. And then to the descendants of Binyamin, we have these 5 yads that form the backbone of the Chanuka miracle. We have the aspect of the spiritual light and the celebration of that miraculous light, which is the spiritual side of the miracle of Chanuka. We have the military victory as well, and the delivery into the hands of Hashem's people, of those forces that were ranged against them. And from this week's Sedra of Miketz that we read Shabbos Chanuka, through to this Al Hanissim prayer, we can feel this eternal tapestry of the Torah with all of the threads, with all of the themes that transcend time, that connect us to the earliest, our earliest history with Yosef HaTzadik and his brothers, and the terrible challenges that they had to go through, but that made them what they are. And then we look at the Al Hanissim, the Chanuka story, and we can actually connect the words of the Torah to the words of Al Hanissim. And we can continue to connect that to the times that we are living in now, Bayomim Hahem Bazman Hazeh, as we say Al Hanissim. And we insert that in benching after Noder, when we say thanks to Hashem, and we insert that in the Amida prayer after Modim, when we give thanks to Hashem. That's the perfect place for us to celebrate this thanksgiving, the joy of the thanksgiving of Hashem, the recognition of the miracles that are performed for our people over all time. And please God, we should merit to see those in our time today, with our prayers being answered very speedily. Thank you very much for listening. Wishing everybody a very bright, light Chanuka. and Shabbat Shalom and Chodesh Tov.